Welcome to my channel. I know I look like this. I usually start my video looking a lot more presentable, but I thought, let's do story time. I've never done that before. Like, I've never done my makeup and then talk to you guys about something. So I just thought, for those new subscribers or for people who've forgotten me, I just thought maybe I'll give you guys a little intro about who I am and what I do. Right, so I'm a professional makeup artist, and when I say I'm a professional makeup artist, it's not just that I do this for a living. That's my full-time job. I qualified at London College of Fashion and initially wanted to actually go into movie and prosthetics and sort of like in that direction, but then one of my best friends got married the year that I graduated. Well, not graduated, what do you call it? Like, I got a diploma at London College of Fashion. It was a full-time course for a whole year. Very expensive, may I add. And yeah, so she got married and she was like, oh, can you do my wedding makeup? And I was like, I don't know how to tie a sari. I don't know how to do like traditional hair. I was like, I don't think I'm the right person. But then she was like, no, I'll get somebody else to do the sari and the you know, the hair and the flower arrangements and stuff. She was like, just do my makeup. I want to look like myself. I want to look super simple. I don't want anything extravagant. So I was like, okay, fine. Anyway, she had like over 1,000 guests at her wedding, by the way. And then people that came to the wedding were just like, who did you make up? And then that's literally how it started for me. Obviously, initially I was very overwhelmed because I was like, how do I start this as a career when I don't know how to drape a sari, when I don't know how to do... So honestly, the sari draping and the traditional plait hair thing was purely self-taught. I experimented, I played around and then figured it out. And then did like YouTube tutorials, how to drape a sari on hair, which got like over 6 million views. So sometimes things can be self-taught. I know a lot of makeup artists who are self-taught and they do a fantastic job, and some of them are even better than me. So there you go. So qualification is one thing. It just, for me, was important because I think it gave me the confidence to start a career during a time where nobody else my age did it. It was almost unheard of. I mean, my parents and I were refugees from Sri Lanka. I was born in Sri Lanka, and then, you know, we lived in refugee homes. We lived a very tough life. I remember a lot of my childhood, you know, and in Germany, growing up in Germany, like, we didn't have school uniforms. So naturally, if you were like the poorest kid with the most awful outfits, people naturally bullied you, kids bullied you, and it was a tough time. It was hard. So you can imagine my parents worked 2-3 jobs. They did cleaning jobs. They did anything and everything to earn and to kind of create that sort of middle-class status, which is a big thing, you know, for people, for my parents who are uneducated, and they've worked really, really hard and were able to buy houses, to live a comfortable life, go on holiday. They've worked very hard and they've given me and my sister a really good life as well. But I'm just saying that for them, it was absolutely not acceptable that I wanted to do hair and makeup. For them, it was just like, are you kidding me? Like, we came to this country, we've worked so hard to get you guys, you know, the education that you guys deserve or should have. And I went to uni, I did biology and psychology, I graduated, and I even worked for a marketing company. I got a job straight after uni, and I worked. I did my 9 to 5. I was traveling into Angel, you know, which is a beautiful area in London, by the way. But like, I just wasn't happy. It wasn't really what I wanted to do. Sorry, my brush is a bit wet. I just cleaned them all because they get very dusty. Maybe I should just use another brush, or I don't know. Well, yeah, anyway, so I just told my parents, let me try something else. You know, I'm in my early 20s. I'm unmarried. I'm living under my parents' roof. I don't have bills to pay. So I was like, let me give this a shot. If it doesn't work out, at least I have my degree to fall back on. It was tough. It was tough, kind of like, you know, my entire family. And I'm talking about older cousins, you know, who were married then as well, didn't like it. And they would try and convince my parents to not let me do it. They were like, this is so shameful for our family. How can you let your daughter go to people's houses like a servant and do their makeup? And I was just like, but I love doing it. Like, it makes me happy. And but yeah, anyway, it was hard. It was very, very hard, especially when you don't get jobs. Instagram didn't exist, by the way. It was just Facebook. And yeah, it was just a case of like, okay, what do I do now and stuff. I'm trying to think, what sari am I gonna wear? Okay, I'm gonna wear something peachy on my face, sorry. Yeah, and then it was a really slow start. Like, I would probably say it took about 6 years for people to really recognize me. 6 years, guys. For anyone starting makeup now, it's not going to take you that long. It's a lot easier, especially with social media, especially with Instagram, and like having access, which is amazing. Like I'm not jealous, by the way. Like, I'm actually really happy that you guys didn't have to, probably don't have to suffer as much as some of us did, or even people way before me, where they didn't even have Facebook, you know, and they had to, like, I still remember the days where I had to have a portfolio with printed out pictures of my work and going to, you know, companies or like certain job interviews and then showing them my portfolio to say, hey, can I be the makeup artist? And back in the days as well, I've worked on like projects with the National Portrait Gallery. I did an advert for British Airways, and there are so many quirky, cool things that I did back then, but it was so hard to get those jobs though. It was so hard. I had to go for interviews. I had to go, like I said, show my portfolio. It was like a completely different thing. And now the kind of access that you get by just tagging somebody on Instagram, like I could be tagging BA tomorrow and, you know, they might repost or reshare, and then they could just be like, hey, shall we work together on something? Shall we collaborate? That's the kind of easy access I feel you have now as opposed to when I started. So yeah, it took a really long time. I was also one of the first to work with a few like South Indian celebrities. Honestly, don't even ask me how that happened. Now when I think about it, I'm just like, I would say yes to anything that came my way. Like literally people would be like, Vithya, are you free for this? Are you free for that? And I never asked for money, and I did so many things for free. Which now, if I do have the time, I'll still do that because I love helping other Tamils. I love basically working with other small businesses. It's still something that I really like to do if I have the time, but unfortunately sometimes I don't, and if they still want me to do something, of course it ends up being a paid thing, but which I think I deserve now. But anyway, so yeah, so like that's how it used to happen for me, that I got to work with, you know, people like Simbu. I got to work with people like Nayanthara, Sneha, Amy Jackson. Like there were so many people that I got to work with just because before I even knew who I was working with, they would already hire me because they knew that I was always on time, I was reliable, I wouldn't ask for money, I wouldn't ask for any kind of expenses. I would just turn up and do my job because I loved it and I wanted the opportunities, I wanted the exposure. So only after I would get a gig, they'll be like, oh yeah, by the way, it's makeup for Simbu, and I'll be like, excuse me, what? And yeah, so that's how it happened. And initially I thought, you know, oh my god, people are going to be so supportive. They're going to be like, wow, look, like one of our Tamils from our community is working with these people. But unfortunately, that's not what happened. I started getting a lot of hate during that time, especially the start of that whole social media thing. I think my contouring is not enough, so I'm just going to go a little bit stronger. And I'm going to use this bougie. Don't buy this. I personally think all the Gucci products, beauty products, are awful, but I like the packaging. I bought it at the airport, and don't buy it, but I'm gonna use it up. So anyway, moving on. Yeah, so it was really hard, and you know, it did affect my mental health. It affected my job. You know, I'm somebody, if you have read my blogs, I did suffer from depression for most of my life, especially my teenage years. And it was not till my sort of like late 20s that I actually got help. I was on antidepressants for about 3 years, full on medication, highest dosage the country allows. I had to have these prescribed all the time, and I also had therapy for a few years. And I ended up in hospital many times. So it was a really, really tough time. So you can imagine doing makeup, but then also, you know, being depressed and then having hate and then not getting the support was a big challenge for me. It really, really was. But do you know what? I just stayed in my lane and I just kept continuing whatever I was doing. And I was just like, do you know what? You either, you know, you either like me or you don't, and I have to accept that. And then it just got better and bigger, and eventually with Instagram, I kind of, you know, had so much access to people started booking me. I used to get maybe one booking every 3 or 4 months, and I used to charge, I'm not gonna lie, £150 for a wedding, for a Hindu bridal job, which, by the way, in London, that price is 5 times that now, okay? Most makeup artists here in London, that's sort of like the going rate. But when I started, I had no idea. I didn't know who to compare myself to. I didn't know what typically people charged. I didn't know what I should be charging. So it was £150 every 3 or 4 months. Of course, I couldn't live on that or survive on that. I couldn't pay bills. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't save. I couldn't, you know, and for my parents, it was just embarrassing. They were like, you did a degree, you could be earning so much more money, and you're going to these people's houses at like 2 o'clock in the morning once every 3-4 months for only £150. And I didn't have a car then as well, so a lot of the times my dad had to drive me, or if it was later in the day, I would take a train there. So obviously petrol, you know, train tickets, things like that. In the end, you were left with like, what, nothing? Just quickly, I'm going to use this Natasha Denona Yucca palette. I like all the greens and stuff, so I'm just going to work with greens today. Anyway, as I was saying, £150, guys. So yeah, so the more popular I got on social media and the more high profile weddings that I did. What I mean by high profile weddings then is weddings where they had over 1,000 guests, and you know, they had some kind of, they had a name in the community, they knew a lot of people. So naturally, if I had done one of those weddings, chances are the people that attend those weddings will also be getting married, and they'll be like, oh, who did you make up? Oh, Vithya, this new girl called Vithya. And that's how it grew. So it was predominantly word of mouth, obviously, but social media definitely helped the process so like go faster. So a lot more people knew me. I had access to the rest of the world, not just UK. So people started flying me out to like other European countries, which initially my parents were very strict about, and they were like, you're absolutely not going to another country. How do you know that they are booking you for weddings? What if you get to the airport and it's just like some creepy man or something? And like, you know, but I don't know, like I just, fear of God, I guess, and also, you know, faith and intuition. I kind of felt like, do you know what, it feels right. So I started going to these jobs abroad. Didn't know that you should be charging more if you're going outside of the country, because for a Saturday wedding, you're technically going there on a Friday and then you're coming back on a Sunday. So you're spending 3 days with that client. Whereas if you were in London, you could potentially work Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So that's 3 different incomes, right? But again, you learn on the job, you learn on the way, like things like, hey, they should be paying for your flights, because I used to pay for my own flights. And then I was like, why am I going there? And then from the money that I'm earning, I'm spending money on my, you know, my flights and my travel and stuff. So, you know, you learn, you start setting boundaries and things like that. So with time, I, you know, kind of worked on my self-worth and my skills. I also did so many other courses. Like I went and did a course in Canada for 10 days with Pink Orchid Studio Academy. I've attended many masterclasses. I've had one-to-one tutorials with very well-known hairstylists like Amir Naveed. Oh my god, like I'm trying to think. Then I flew down to Bangkok. Nissa hairstylist. She does these eccentric, awesome hairstyles. So went there and did a 3-day course there as well, got certified. So you know, the kind of time and money and everything you spend on constantly learning and stuff like that, obviously that has to reflect on what you kind of charge as well. So I would constantly try and stay updated on like TikTok or, you know, Instagram to see what the latest brilliant product is, what the latest, you know, what the best eyeliner is apparently that everyone's raving on about. So that requires research, really. But yeah, so from hair and makeup, which I do, and you know, that's my full-time job. I freaking love it, and I get to travel to some amazing places like Mauritius, Kenya, Texas, just got back from Mexico and Portugal, and yeah, so I get to travel to a lot of really, really good places, and I'm so grateful that people trust me enough to come out there and, you know, provide these services and stuff. And then I eventually started on, wait, you know, normally I can't multitask, so I'm actually really impressed that I'm doing this right now and I'm able to. I'm gonna take, oh, I don't know, maybe. That's a bit too glittery and too kind of green. But maybe I'm just not gonna put too much of it because I'm wearing this with a sari, so I kind of don't want this to be too much, but it is really pretty though. Imagine if this was with like a black dress or something. But yeah, anyway, and then eventually, because I love teaching, I used to teach my younger cousins biology, maths, and English and stuff. I used to be a really good tutor, so I love teaching, I really do. So then I thought, you know what, people would constantly ask, hey Vithya, do you teach makeup? And I was like, not really, I don't think I'm qualified to. But then it started back in 2015. I started just doing like face-to-face at home ones, and they were so popular, and then I started doing them yearly, and then they became so popular. But the problem was I didn't have the time anymore, so I stopped doing them for a little while until lockdown hit. When lockdown hit, it was literally like that was the only thing that I was doing, because there were no weddings, and you know, I had bills to pay. So I was like, hey, so then I opened a Zoom account and started basically teaching online, which I still do. Every single year I do them for about a month, and they sell out all the time because people have access all over the world, right? Like, it's not just people in the UK. You can have all sorts of people. And I remember I met this 60-year-old professor at a university from the States who took a lesson because she was like, she just wants to look presentable, and it's just such a rewarding feeling. Obviously the rewarding feeling always used to happen with brides because it's their wedding day, and you're just like, oh my god, I'm gonna be part of their wedding day. But then after a while you basically start feeling so rewarded by teaching somebody, because it, you know, it boosts their confidence, and then listening to their journey and their story, and you know, you get to know a few of them, and it's beautiful basically. So I do enjoy it, but I can only do them 1 month at a time every year during quiet season because of weddings. So yeah, so I pretty much work from the start of Jan up until December, but my busiest times are from like March to September. So that's predominantly brides, and then in between obviously I do a lot of content, YouTube, you know, which is part of content, Instagram, Reels. I sometimes get paid for doing sari promotions or sari like content. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a full-time influencer. I'm not a full-time content creator, sorry. I don't unfortunately have the time for it. It is something that I would like to have more time for. But yeah, I've been in the industry now. Well, I started makeup in 2008, so that's like, what, 14, 15 years now? But I went self-employed after I quit MAC. So I used to work part-time in MAC because, remember, I used to say I used to get £150 every 3 or 4 months. So I worked part-time in MAC in Harvey Nichols, and that was great practice because Harvey Nichols is such a busy place where you get a lot of people from like all over the world and different ages, and so I got to really practice on like different skin textures, different skin types, different skin tones, so that really helped as well. Okay, I can't talk because I'm doing my eyeliner. So in 2013, I went self-employed. That's when I became a limited company and I became the director of the company, which didn't help during lockdown, by the way. I wasn't able to get any kind of government help because I'm a director and I was a limited company, so it was a little bit harder. But yeah, and then I moved to Malaysia for 4 years. If you know, you know, because my husband's Malaysian, and we thought after marriage, because Brexit happened and I have a German passport and my husband was working in the States, and what's his name again, Trump became president, so it made it a little bit harder for us to choose where to live, and we were kind of worried, like, what if they deny us a visa or work permit or whatever. So we were like, you know what, let's just try out Malaysia. I didn't mind. Moved out there. We were only supposed to stay there for about a year, but then we ended up staying there for 4 years, and I did love it. Okay, I absolutely loved it. I was able to pick up where I left off in terms of like bridal makeup, because there's like a massive Tamil and Indian community. So I was able to do the same out there as well, bridal jobs and stuff. Obviously it wasn't as much as here. Predominantly people over there get married on weekends, but then, as you know, in London people get married during the week more than on weekends, and weekends tend to be more for like civil and receptions and stuff, but Hindu weddings tend to happen a lot more on weekdays now. So obviously over there I would just get the jobs on weekends, but not even all weekends. It would be like maybe three or four jobs a month, which was fine for me. My husband was obviously working, so we were kind of both like, okay, I can chill out and I can not work as much as I need to. So I had a lot of free time, so it almost felt like I was on this long holiday, just relaxing, going out, eating, putting on a lot of weight, getting to know people. Let me just say that the industry over there was a lot tougher than the industry over here. I definitely wasn't accepted over there. Yeah, I just wasn't. And it was really hard for me, even outside of the community. I felt like it was really hard for me to work with like brands. They just, I don't know, they just wouldn't give me any opportunities, or I wouldn't get invited to PR events. And I tried. I really tried to do other things out there, but it was a challenge. I felt like I was constantly fighting somebody to get somewhere, and it was exhausting. But to be honest, we still would have stayed there longer because I still liked the quality of life out there. But then when lockdown happened and I wasn't able to see my family, I hadn't seen my family for like 2 years. It was really hard for me. I'm very close to my parents and, you know, like my cousins. I've got a lot of childhood friends and stuff in the UK. And while I lived in Malaysia, I would travel every few months. I would come to Europe or go Canada or anything, because I was still taking bookings everywhere else. So yeah, that was another nightmare, because I was paying taxes in 2 countries and I had my work permit obviously in Malaysia. I mean, you know, of course you have to. Especially when you're this established, you obviously can't get away with not. So it was kind of like really expensive for me, paying taxes in both countries, having an accountant in both countries. So it just got to the point where I was like, is this even worth it? Like, what am I doing? Like, why am I doing it in 2 countries? Like, I have to give up one, and I really didn't want to give up England because I have a German passport. Brexit happened, and I was like, if I'm not registered, if I'm not working in the country, like, what will happen to me? You know? So anyway, it was my dad in the end that convinced us and was just like, move back. What are you guys doing over there? Like, hey, you can work a lot more. Why not? So my husband was still working for his company, but just working from here. He works here now. He's got a job here now. But at the beginning, that's what we kind of did. So we were like, okay, it's safe. We had a house here already, so we were kind of just like renovating it and whatever. Anyway, it's got nothing to do with my career now. So let's just say, yeah, so I'm working a lot more now that I'm back. It's like back to, you know, 8 to 15 weddings a month easily, which I'm so blessed and grateful for. There was a little hiccup in between, you know. I guess sometimes when you become popular and famous, you know, and I'm not blowing my own horn here, but I'm just saying that that is what happened. Like, people knew me in the industry, so I guess the word for it is fame or popularity. But there was, you know, there were people who started writing really mean things about me, like completely making up random stuff out of thin air. At the beginning it was funny. Me and my cousins or my husband, we would read the stuff and we would literally laugh. After a while it started getting really personal. Like they would post things that weren't true but still involved a lot of people that I loved and cared about. So it kind of got a little bit like, it just got really nasty, and yeah, it was really hard, I'm not gonna lie. And at one point I didn't think I was gonna make it to today. I didn't think I was gonna, like, it really hit me. And you know, sometimes when you are somebody who has suffered through depression before and you hit like rock bottom and you hit like an all-time low, it's really hard to get out of it. But I had such amazing support from my parents, from my cousins, from, you know, my friends. These people all have known me all my life, right? So for them it was kind of like, we know the real you. You know, who cares what random strangers or people that might have known me for a year or two, you know, who cares what their opinions of you are, or, you know. And that took a while. And once I passed that, which by the way took about 1.5 years, once I passed that stage of like, you know what, I must be famous, because why else do people care so much? But no, I'm joking. But yeah, once I passed that, anything else that was happening to me after social media, whether it's hate comments or, you know, people being mean and stuff, honestly, I stopped caring. I was like, if I can pass that and pass such a dark period of my life and come out of it, throw anything at me, man. I'm untouchable. I'm invincible. And that's how I felt. And not because I was worried about my job or anything else. When you have the right people in your life and it doesn't affect like the core, you know, like your soul, because you have such a great support system who fully love you and believe in you and know that you're not these things that people claim you are. That was enough for me. I was just like, well, it is what it is. But I was grateful that the brides that kept booking me, the businesses, the photographers, the people that still wanted to keep working with me, it was so impressive that none of them cared. Like, they just didn't. And they were just like, whatever, man, rumors, you know, or stories, or it's just bullshit, right? And sorry. Yeah, and I think that really helped me. That really helped, that I was just like, oh, it's nice that people can really see, you know, that it is what it is. And, you know, today they're going to talk about me, tomorrow they're going to talk about somebody else, and it's just going to continue. And, you know, I just got over it. So anyway, that comes with social media, unfortunately. Like, and I'm not going to lie, it may not seem that way, but I'd rather be successful than famous. I absolutely do not want to be famous. I'd rather just make money and not be famous. But unfortunately, in my line of business, or the way things have been for me, they both come hand in hand. So if I wanted to quit social media tomorrow and be like, no, I just want to be a makeup artist, I don't want social media anymore, I don't want these people to know about my life, unfortunately I won't be able to. Because once you build a brand name, and I feel like I have over the years, it's hard to just continue this without social media, because I probably wouldn't get as many bookings. And I'm very well aware of that. That you become this brand name where people are like, oh my god, I've booked Vithya hair and makeup, and I'm super grateful for that, of course. But it also means that, yeah, it comes, that kind of title status comes with a lot of responsibility. And now I'm just like, okay, you know, I need to watch what I say, I need to watch what I do, because yeah, like, it's not just because I don't want to be scrutinized, but it's also because, yeah, there are so many people who watch my stuff, and so many people, especially impressionable young women, who, you know, would get influenced. My hair's naturally curly, by the way, but as you can see, it looks a mess. Slept on it. This was like washed hair from yesterday, so I'm just going to use this really cool curler that I bought on Amazon. A Mervel. People always ask me like, oh, what's your 10-year plan? Honestly, I worked so hard and dreamt of this day. I dreamt of this moment to have these bookings, to be able to travel, to make the money that I'm making, to have my house, to have my own car. Remember, I didn't have a car for a long time. Like, there are so many things that I have now that I dreamt of and wished for like 10 years ago. So I'm gonna enjoy it. I'm not gonna be that person to be like, okay, what's next? What's next? What's next? I used to be, and it didn't get me far. Being over ambitious sometimes can really bite you in the back. And I feel like maybe that's what happened a few years ago to me. Whereas now I'm kind of just like, I'm content, I'm great. I don't have to compete with anybody but myself. But at this stage in life, I just want to enjoy it, because life is too short. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and I'm just going to reap the benefits of all the hard work before I sit there and get greedy over something else. I did tell you about online classes, but I didn't tell you about masterclasses. So I used to do masterclasses as well. I've done 26 in total. Some of them were collaborations, some of them were like in other countries. So yeah, so overall I did 26, loved it. It was so much fun. But yeah, I doubt that I will be doing any more, just because, yeah, just looking to the next phase, right? Like, you just want to do other things now, and you know, it's nice to see other makeup artists doing it now as well. So I feel like, let them do it now, you know, let them do these classes and do different things and try out different things. You know, you always want to kind of go in different directions and not always do what everybody else does, right? Like, you want to kind of, yeah, aspire to do different new things and inspire other people along the way. So that's me. So this is kind of my story. I did tell you in all sorts of random order because this was not planned. I didn't write things down of what I wanted to share with you. I just thought I'd try this out. This was a little bit hard, you know, like trying to trying to do this and like get myself ready it was a little bit hard. So I'm just going to continue finishing off the rest of my hair. Before my battery dies, I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I hope this was interesting. If you guys like this, I'm happy to do another story time about something else, you know, and yeah, thank you guys for watching.